In this lesson, we'll capture and set the environment for our scene. Okay, so here is the model of the scene we're getting ready to set, but we're going to be focusing our attention to what's going on the interior. Now, one thing we should keep in mind when working with our interior scene is the orientation, site, and location of our building. And in just a little bit, we'll set the site and location, but I want to get us a little bit familiar with the orientation. So you could tell here in my view cube, I'll put us in a north direction to where north is actually going up. So you see right now, north is here, east, south, and west. And our building here is actually going to be located on the west coast, and it'll be an evening shot. So I really want to get a view of, or a sense of some warmth, summer evening on the west coast. So a lot of our sun will actually be coming on this side from the west. So that's something we're going to need to keep in mind when setting our location, and also the time and position of our sun for our scene. But before we do let's go ahead and use the camera to set our scene. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the location I have in mind, and that's going to be on my floor plans level 2. And what I want to do is I really want to capture a view of what's going on basically from this corner looking out this way. So essentially I want to catch all this furniture, the different materials, floor, ceiling, this brick wall here. I also want to be able to see some of the interior vegetation I've placed. I want to be able to showcase this staircase, but I also want to be able to see far enough that I can see what's going on the outside, and I can bring some of these exterior green elements into our scene. So let's use our camera to set the scene. That's going to be the best way to get this done. We're going to get the best perspective. So I'm going to go to View, and we're going to go to 3D View, Camera. And again, I'm going to set the view here in this corner, but I'm going to be very careful to make sure I don't set my camera on top of any geometry or elements. If you were to accidentally place this camera inside this wall, you wouldn't be able to see the view that you're trying to create. It may be black or obscured by maybe another surface or something. So it's always really important to make sure you set that camera to where it's not blocked by any other geometry that you don't want in the way. So I'm simply going to click and use my camera, and I'm going to drag, paying attention to how far I drag out. Remember, I wanted to bring those trees. I want to be able to see those trees within my scene. So I'm going to make sure I drag my scene out, or my vision out past my trees here. I also want to include my furniture and some of that brick wall down there, but I definitely want to get my staircase in there. So once I'm happy with what I have, I'll simply click the button. I'm going to scroll out here, and we have set our scene, but there's a couple of adjustments I need to make. So right now we're pretty low to the ground. I want to make sure I'm at eye level. So I know this is level 2, so I need to set this roughly 5.5 feet above level 2, which would be about 15 feet 6 inches. So let's set our eye elevation here in our properties window here. I'm going to adjust that from 12, and we're going to go 15 feet 6 inches. I'm going to click apply, and you can see that adjustment is made, and things are starting to look a little bit better. So now I can grab points here, and I can stretch out and include as much as I want in this view. I want to make sure I get enough glazing in here. I want to show all the nice lighting and shadows that get cast in to this view from that west coast sunset. Now, I don't want too much floor, but I want a little bit. I definitely want to showcase the materials and things that are going on with the nice floor that we're going to be adding in there. So once we're happy with what we have in our scene, as far as the boundaries goes, we can make an adjustment to the positioning as well, simply by holding down my shift button and using my mouse and my wheel to make the adjustments as needed. And a lot of times you can do this to kind of realign things and really tweak this to get the view you want. So another thing I always do is I'll really quickly jump to, at this point, I'll jump to my, we'll change our visibility graphics to a consistent color here so I can really get a feel for what's going on here. So now that we've got our scene set here, now let's set the environment for our scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, under my view tab here, I'm going to go to render. And we're not going to render just yet. We're really just at this point setting the scene and setting the environment so that we can communicate the vision we have in mind. So we have a number of adjustments. We'll go over several of these in a bit. But the one I want you to focus on for right now is right here under lighting. So we're doing a combination of both lighting and exterior sun as well. So this side here, we're going to have some sun coming in, and on this side, we're going to be lighting up. And throughout the scene, we'll be sprinkling with some artificial lighting. So that means under my lighting here, for my scheme here, I want to choose an interior scene with sun and artificial light. Now, if I was just doing an exterior scene and I just wanted sun, I can do exterior sun only. If I was just doing an interior scene and I wanted to maybe study how the sun impacts the interior scene without any artificial lighting, we can do interior sun only. But in our case, we're going to go ahead and have interior with sun and artificial lighting. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Next, you'll see here sun settings, and this is a really neat tool. So I'm going to click on that really quick. And under solar study, we're simply going to go to still, and we're going to keep in session still highlighted. But I'm going to choose my location. Now, what's neat about this is if I have a particular address in mind, or if I know exactly where my site's going to be, I can type that in. But in our case, I know a generic geographic location. So I'm simply going to go to my drop down here and choose one I've used before, Laguna Beach, California here. And I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to tell Revit, hey, continue with the address that I just entered. So there you can see it's in there. And the date here, we can adjust our date if we need to with our calendar. But I'm going to keep it at that point. But I do want to adjust the time. Remember, we're trying to get a nice evening in the summertime or early or late spring. So what I'll do here is we'll adjust our time from 10 a.m. to maybe 6 p.m. That way the sun will be at a nice enough position and angle to really illuminate that area and bring a sense of warmth that I'm trying to communicate within this area here. So once I've made these major adjustments here, and again, I'm keeping it there at in session still, I'm going to click apply, OK. And later on when we begin rendering, we'll be able to kind of tweak things just a little more. But at this point, we're ready to jump into the next lesson where we'll start adding some materials to some of the elements throughout our scene here. And then later on, we'll even start rendering.